following is a Hoop Ball presentation.
Hello and welcome to the box score breakdown for February 10th, 2019. My name is Neil Rochlani and I'm joined by a special guest, Coach. Coach is, how long have you been with Hoop Ball now?
Actually, this is just my third week.
Oh, so man.
Brand new.
You're moving right up. It took me a while to get on a podcast. Congratulations.
Oh, thanks, man. I appreciate it. I'm a fill-in. You know how it goes.
Yeah, unfortunately, Adrian Benjamins is sick this evening, so Coach will be joining us to go over the box scores. Before we get started, do want to mention our show is sponsored by Hawaiian Isles Kona Coffee. You can find their products at hawaiianisles.com and also at amazon.com. With that, we've got 5 games to get to tonight. Some trades. The trade deadline mania is over. Guys are starting to settle up with their new teams, so this will be interesting as we go through some of these box scores tonight. Coach, is there any takeaway you want to talk about before we begin the box scores?
Well, just, I guess, I'd be remiss not to mention the whole trade deadline stuff that took place and, trickled down through the weekend. It's just really interesting stuff. I'm sort of completely confused about the whole Pelicans situation. They seem to have really shot themselves in the foot. Lakers gave him a great offer. They feel they could hold him out. And they said they weren't going to play him. Then they played him. And then he gets booed by his own fans. It's just a disaster. So hopefully something shakes loose there because that's going to affect multiple teams. What did you think about that whole take on the Lakers?
Yeah, it looked like New Orleans really wasn't truly interested in trading him with the Lakers. From some of the news reports coming out, they were just kind of – I think they were – if it's true, they were upset that Anthony Davis basically tried to force their hand, and then they were just kind of using the Lakers against themselves by making them make these offers and then kind of getting a team, divisive. And I know that Boston has technically the best player available, in Jason Tatum, but I am still not sold that Kuzma can't get there. I'm a big believer in that guy. So,
did you see him today in the first quarter?
I know he's got a special talent, and I'm not sure he's going to be as good as Tatum long term, but I think it's going to be closer than people think, and he does get there. And I thought they would take it. And I was really curious to see how the fans would react in New Orleans to Davis. I did not see it, so they did boo him when he came back on the court.
They booed him, and then the first time he touched the ball, it was a loud boo. And then the second time down, he had a big dunk, and then they clapped. So I don't even think they know what to do at this point.
I know.
But, it's funny, Neil, though. I think it all ties into, I had mentioned on a couple of shows coming up to the trade deadline when Davis was pulling all of this. I'm really concerned about the NBA and the direction that it's going with these max deals, because I know when they did the collective bargaining agreement and, Adam Silver it was really key for him to set up this max deal. If you stay with the team, over a period of time that drafted you, they could offer the $238 million and all of that. Well, now that, these guys are just looking that in the face and saying, so what, I would rather go somewhere and build a super team to take on the Warriors. So my concern, all along, even before this is blowing up so bad with Davis is, are we going to be at the point in a couple of years where we have 5 or 6 super teams and then everybody else is terrible? So, I wonder what the behind the scenes discussions are right now with the Pelicans, Adam Silver, how this is all folding out. And it's going to be interesting to see because if, even Porzingis going to Dallas, he forced the hand on that too. So, they're going to have to probably tweak some of these rules so that we keep at least some equity amongst the teams, Yeah,
that's a great point. The super teams, started with, I guess, Miami with LeBron back there. That was sort of the first one. And then Golden State did it a bit more organically, but then they did poach Kevin Durant. And then it looks like the East now has a couple super teams starting to emerge on their own.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's a good point. The league really needs I think, competitive balance. So they've got to figure out a way. And they are quickly finding out that Supermax may not have been the best way to, like you said, keep stars in their home team.
Money, it becomes almost no object when you're talking about 200 or 238 million.
Right.
I mean, in some senses, it's the same. So I'm sure they'll figure something out, though. I think Silver's the best commissioner in sports. I think the NBA is just wildly popular, and it's becoming internationally wildly popular. Mm-hmm. So they'll figure it out, I'm sure.
Yeah, they'll definitely be. It won't be perfect, just like the tanking was not a perfect thing for the draft, but they're getting better, and I do trust Silver and that staff. All right, let's go on to Game 1 today. Dallas 102. Dallas 102, Portland 101. Do you want to start us off?
Sure. I watched all of that game.
Okay.
Mavs are definitely one of my favorite teams, if not my favorite team. So that was a heck of a game. Portland was 33-0 this season, going into the fourth quarter with the lead. And Followell, who does the games, said, you know what? Why not 33-1 at the beginning of the fourth quarter? They were down like 14, and believe it or not, they came back and won it. So it was a phenomenal game. Luka was ridiculous. 19-year-old kid. They basically did the Harden play, just 4 on the baseline, give him the ball, let him go one-on-one. Mm-hmm. And he was doing the step-back threes, drawing fouls. So they, for those that didn't see it, Dallas won 102-101. And since I started on the Dallas side, I'll go with that. And then you could take Portland. Hardaway started and did real well again, 24 points, sort of the guy that nobody talked about that much going in that trade that I think is going to be a terrific ad for Dallas. Then, other than Doncic, it was just the Doncic just dominating up and down, 28 points, 9 rebounds, 6 assists. He's almost a triple double every game in this last month. And then, of course, like Coach Carlisle does, it was the rest of the team by committee. He just shuffled guys in and out. And, between Finney-Smith and Brunson and Powell and Burke and Dirk played about 12 minutes even. And he uses everybody, Brokoff, Lee, Justin Jackson, they just picked up. So from a fantasy side, a lot of forum questions. Everybody keeps saying, oh, let's pick up Kleber. I want to pick up Powell. They're giving all this, Trey Burke. I've heard those names several times this weekend. My recommendation is don't do it. Because, again, I'm telling you over and over, it is Carlisle's style is position by committee, have a couple of key guys that he's going to count on. Of course, Doncic is one. It looks like Hardaway's another one. He played 33 minutes. In both the first 2 games. So it was a great game. I think Dallas has a bright future. And, be careful picking up any of those other Mavs pieces, though.
Yeah, I agree with you. I know when the trade deadline happened and the front court got cleared out with Harrison Barnes gone and people were talking, and then DeAndre Jordan leaving, people were talking about Kleber and Powell maybe getting some value. I didn't see it. Powell's been there for, I don't know how many years now, 4 years now, same coach. He's never really been given much of a chance or proven himself. I think he'll get like low 20 minutes a game on average, and I don't think it's going to be fantasy worthy, especially in regular size leagues.
Right.
Kleber, again, I think he's okay, but I don't think he's a super talent, and I don't think he's going to get enough usage to really be fantasy relevant. I
agree.
Opportunity might, like you said, this is much more by a couple big stars. Like Hardaway Jr. is going to have free reign to shoot as much as he wants, and he's going to be very similar, I think, value than he was in New York. Maybe he gets a little bit better on field goal percentage. It can't get worse, I don't think. We'll see. But I really don't think anyone else is going to really just jump into the top 100 by default. So
no, I agree. Like I said, if you have Luka, good. Thank goodness you got him. But and Neil, I'm telling you, if you can pick up Tim Hardaway Jr. or make a trade for him, I'd go for it because, what people aren't, I think they got sour on because his percentages were so down this year and the consistency with what's going on in New York. But, he has a new lease on life here in Dallas. I saw an interview with him. He sounds real upbeat. Luka gets him the ball in great positions. That kid has such a phenomenal court vision. And they had that roulette of point guards in New York, and it was a bad situation. So I think you're going to see better usage, and I think he's going to be valuable for some people down the stretch. So don't be afraid to go out there and grab him as well.
Yeah, I think he is. It's definitely a much better offense, and he needs to be set up, I think. And you're right about obviously Luka, much better distributor than the guys he had in New York. Although Trey Burke is there with him, so maybe Trey Burke will be passing to him as well.
Yeah, he'll get very few minutes though.
Yeah. All right, I'm gonna hop over to the Portland side. Mo Harkless, someone I've been tracking since he came back, has never really stepped up to any fantasy value. Today, likewise, just 5 points, 5 rebounds. Aminu, same way. I don't trust him. Just 2 points today, 5 rebounds, 3 assists on 1 of 3 shooting. Nurkic continues to impress. 18 points, 10 rebounds on 9 of 11 from the field. Lillard had a good night tonight. 30 points. Shot 10 of 23, so not great, but 4 from the line, 6 3-pointers, and 2 steals. McCollum with a solid night, 14, 5, and 5 on 6 of 7 shooting. 6 of 17 shooting. The one guy also here I'm tracking is Jake Layman. He was in the starting line for a while now. He's kind of the 6th man. I think he's going to be a future talent in this league, coach, but I don't see him having any fantasy value this year. How is he someone you've been watching at all? Is anyone else on this team have your eye on?
I wouldn't grab Layman this year, but I'd put a note down for he'd be a great flyer for next year, because I agree with you. I think he's got great talent. He can really shoot the 3, and he can jump out of the building. So I think they'll find a way to get him some minutes next year as also. I wanted to mention with Lillard, he's something else, man. He hit 8 straight shots in the third quarter with guys draped all over him, including a 4-point play. So he's still spectacular to watch. When he gets hot, he's incredible. It's just, I'm surprised. I thought Portland would be one of the teams that made a move during the trade deadline, because they've been sort of stuck in the same place in the middle of the pack, and they'll probably get knocked out in the first or second round again. But, it's a shame to see, Lillard not get a little bit more support, because I think he could be a lot better, and Portland could go a lot further. So I'm sure they'll shake it up at the end of the season. But I agree with you. Nurkic is an odd guy. I own Nurkic in one league, and I get so frustrated. Like, if you look at his numbers tonight, he had 18 points, 10 rebounds. He's killing it. But guess how much he played? 21 minutes. The guy just doesn't get – if he got 35 minutes a game or even 32, he'd be in the top 3-4 centers in the league. So, who knows? Maybe they'll use him down the stretch more.
Yeah, that's a good point. He's been he's had some foul. He just has some turnover issues sometimes. I think they get frustrated with him and yank him. But I don't know if it's sometimes a matchup issue or not. I saw Zach Collins got a fair amount of run tonight, 18 minutes, and it certainly was a foul issue. Nurkic only had 1 foul, so I did not see this game. But you're right. He never gets as much run as the other starters. No,
and he's his fantasy points per minute are right up there, man. He's terrific, but he does not. I don't know if it's a physical thing, but he seems to look great out there, but I don't know. There must be some reason.
Yeah. And then like you said, Portland is one of those teams they're good, but they're just not great. And it's just unfortunate because, they're at best case, they're going to win 1 round, right? It's either going to be, they're going to be out in the first round or they're going to get out in the second round. It's unfortunate, but, yeah, maybe next year they'll shake things up. All right. Shall we move on to the second game?
Sure.
I got Lakers, Philly.
Okay.
You got that box score?
I do. I have that up right now. I'll hit the Lakers if you want to hit Philly.
That sounds great.
Okay. I did get to see a good chunk of this game as well. It was I coached the game for quite a while, and I like to pride myself on my team's defense. But this game, if you see the highlights, well, first of all, there were 263 points scored. But there were times where, I mean, one time Embiid dribbled right down the middle of the floor from after he got the rebound. Nobody ever even made a move at him, and he just went right in and dunked. So I don't know what kind of defense they're playing in LA, but Walton's better be careful or he's going to get himself canned. So anyway, LeBron had a very quiet game. He only, I mean, of course, he almost had a triple-double. You know, we're so spoiled with LeBron, but he only had 18 points, didn't take a lot of shots. Kuzma went bananas. He had 23 points in the first quarter and ended up with 39. So he had a terrific game. He's really getting hot. The sleeper guy today, and I know for the DFS guys, JaVale McGee was he really broke the slate. He had 21 points and 13 rebounds. So big game from JaVale. Reggie Bullock was very painful to watch. He played 31 minutes. He had 2 points. Definitely going to take some time to fill in there. But they did start him, so that was interesting. Ingram had a solid, consistent game, his 19 points. And then everybody else just did very little chip in. The new guy they acquired, Muscala, played a little. He had 8. And then they just everybody else just got 15, 17 minutes. So, it'll be interesting. You can tell there that they're all just sitting and waiting to hear if the majority of them are going to get traded to the Pelicans or what's going to happen. So, I feel bad for them because they're one game out of the last playoff spot, and the coach is feeling the pressure. The players are feeling pressure. So it'll be an interesting second half for the Lakers for sure.
Yeah, I wonder how it does work out behind the scenes. That's one part that's really hard to gauge. I will say I was really, we talk about winners and losers from the draft or from the trade deadline. McGee, I think, was a big winner with Zubac going up to, or not going up, just switching uniforms, going to the Clippers. I have McGee in one league, and he was really frustrating. And now that I can trust him again, nights like this are very fun to own him.
Yeah.
So he's definitely a must start again. So I'm trying to. I don't own Rondo anywhere. Just played 16 minutes tonight.
Yeah.
If he is someone, did you pick him up anywhere when Ball went out? Do you happen to own him?
I did, but I dropped him.
Okay.
The reason I dropped him was that Ball's going to be back pretty soon anyway. And then they talked about switching the lineup up and having another shooter in there. And I didn't realize it was going to be Reggie Bullock when they were talking about it, but I just didn't see him getting enough minutes. Mm-hmm. And, he's phenomenal with assists and everything else, but his percentages are terrible, And so I had him for the flavor of the month there when everybody was grabbing him, but I don't think he's really good to hold on to for the second half.
Yeah, I'm concerned as well. I thought with Ball out, he could be someone who could stream and trust, but after this trade now with Bullock starting, I don't know if I don't have him anywhere, so I'm not going to obviously make any moves, but if you do own him, maybe you get one more game before you bail on him, or maybe you can cut bait now. He's never been someone who can really produce in a backup role. And like you said, his percentages are a hindrance. So, yeah. So he's someone that may be a trade deadline loser here. Anything else on the Lakers before I head over to Philadelphia?
No, that's it. I think, like I say, I just feel bad for the team. That's a tough spot to be in, especially when you're trying to make the playoffs. But no, that's it.
All right, on the Philly side, like you said, Embiid had a lot of those probably dunks. 12 for 16 from the field, 37 points, 14 rebounds, 3 assists. Also shoots the free throw very well, 11 to 12 tonight, 2 3-pointers. J.J. Redick, he has just been killing it from the outside. 21 points tonight, 3 of 6 from three-point land, 8 of 13 overall. Butler, he's having a subdued role, but he's having a very positive impact on this team. I'm really impressed how he's kind of blended in there. 15 points tonight, 4 rebounds, 3 assists, 6 of 10, very efficient shooting, but not taking over the usage there. Tobias Harris, likewise, so far so good. 22 points, 6 rebounds, 6 assists on 9 of 14 shooting. 3 of 5 from the 3-point land and a block. Ben Simmons, kind of a quiet night for him tonight, just 8 points. Did get 7 assists. He just did not shoot well tonight, 3 of 13. That's unusual for him. Had a steal and a block as well. All right, so the big news coming out of the trade deadline was Tobias Harris. Where does his value go? I'm still thinking he falls to around 50 to 60, although the last couple games have been better than that. Do you have a sense on where you would value Tobias?
Yeah, I've got him right around 45,
okay,
48, somewhere in that neighborhood. I agree. I mean, it's funny because when I was watching this game today, I sent a text to my son and I said, I think Philly's going to win the East. I think if they can continue to play together like this and Butler doesn't melt down or they don't have anybody get hurt, I mean, they looked fantastic, man. They're loaded. Their starting 5 is fabulous. They put together a really good bench. Even Boban came in and was real effective. I think, Elton Brand has done a phenomenal job. If they do make the finals, he'll get executive of the year in his first year there because his moves have been just terrific. But as far as the fantasy side goes, I'd take Joel Embiid every day if I could take him. And I mean, he's a top 5 player to me right now. He's unbelievable. But I'm sweating bullets. I have a couple of these guys, different guys in some leagues, and I think Butler, Harris, Redick, and Simmons are all going to maybe move backwards in as far as the fantasy stats go, because there's just no way that they can continue to perform at those numbers and split time and split the shots. And there's no doubt Embiid's still the key factor. So beware a little bit. I even mentioned on one of the forums, it's probably a good time to trade a Harris or a Butler when everybody's thinking they're so hot and they don't realize that, their numbers are probably going to decrease the second half.
Yeah, they can't put up 143 every night. And so those stats will come down. We'll see how it spreads out. I agree with you. I don't think Embiid really takes any hit from his value. My initial take was Butler maybe loses a round of value, Simmons maybe a half round value, but the last couple games Simmons has kind of put down lower usage, so maybe he goes down a little more. It's hard to say.
Right.
It's hard to really quantify, but it's hard to imagine them not going down some.
You would think so. I mean,
yeah.
I thought maybe Redick would be droppable almost to this point, and then the 2 games he's been shooting lights out. So, we'll see how it shakes loose. But that's something definitely to keep an eye on.
All right, shall we go to game 3 of the day?
Okay. Do you have Phoenix?
Yeah, I got Phoenix, Sacramento. You want to jump on that one?
Sure. You go ahead. You take a team first this time.
All right. I'll take Phoenix Suns 104, Sacramento 117 on the Phoenix side. Tonight, let's see. Caught me off guard there. I'm going to pull up my stats.
Sorry.
No, it's all right. Devin Booker leading the way as usual, 27 points, 8 rebounds, 6 assists. Shot relatively efficiently, 9 of 19 by his standards. 3 3-pointers. Their other big guy, DeAndre Ayton's just delivering as promised, 16 points, 9 rebounds, 8 of 10. Very efficient. Did have a single block. Mikal Bridges, someone I own in one league, but I've never been all that excited about. I've owned him in a couple leagues. I've dropped him just because his usage is so low. He does okay, but nothing spectacular. He's currently 125 on the season. 8 category, 9 points tonight, 6 rebounds, 4 assists. Missed all his 3-pointers, did have 3 steals. Josh Jackson, someone I was afraid of streaming because of his percentages, has been actually pretty solid in the absence of TJ Warren. 18 points tonight, 5 rebounds, 1 assist, 7 of 16 from the field, 2 of 3 from 3-point land, and 3 blocks. Tyler Johnson, their new addition here from Miami. I thought he might be able to get somewhere between 1 and 120 value. Tonight, not a great line, just 9 points on 4-12 shooting, 5 rebounds, 3 assists. I am encouraged by the 32 minutes, though. So it looks like he might be stable in terms of the point guard role and playing alongside Booker. And if that's the case, I think he'll get into very low-end 12-team value. The one disappointing line here was Kelly Oubre, who has been on fire off the bench tonight, just 7 points in 20 minutes, 3 rebounds, and assist. I'm not seeing any injury news, so maybe it was just a matchup tonight. So I'm not taking anything away from this. I don't think I would downgrade Oubre just based on this one game. Tyler Johnson, if you're desperate for a point guard, I think he might be okay at the very bottom, and really nothing else changes for me. What are your thoughts on the Suns?
Well, Ayton and Booker are obviously no-brainers. I mean, you got 2 superstars there, I think, for the future. But I'm with you. I mean, I usually preach money equals minutes, but Bridges has proved me wrong. I mean, that dude plays like the whole stinking game half the time, like 36 minutes. And he comes up with like 6 points and 2 rebounds. I think if I stood there, I think the ball would hit me in the head and I could get 2 rebounds. So he's got so many empty stats. It's super hard to count on him. Jackson is hard to figure too. And then Tyler Johnson, it sounds like to me from what I read, they're committing to him playing alongside Booker the rest of the way. So if you need a streamer that you think maybe you can plug in there down the stretch, he's going to be on the floor. I'd say be cautious, but, he's going to have some value. He'll move up a little bit.
Yeah, I don't think it'll be anything that's going to win you your league, but if you need a point guard, yeah.
If you're
desperate, plug him in there. Yeah. All right. Do you want to head over to the Sacramento side?
Sure. Sacramento, you had a monster game from Marvin Bagley today, 32-7. A lot of key shots and a win. Sacramento is a lot of fun to root for. I never thought I would say those words in my lifetime, but they're fun to watch. Barnes only had 9 in 30 minutes with 4 rebounds, so he's gonna. I'm not sure how much value he's carrying. Not a lot, I don't believe so. And then you've got all the mixture of guys. They're another team that are playing a ton of people 20 minutes. From Cauley Stein and, Bogdanovich and all those guys. Burks now is in the mix. They picked him up. He got 21 minutes and put up a goose egg, though. Bogdanovich had 14. Fox had a nice game, 17, 6, and 9. And 2 steals. Those are good numbers. I think he's really settled into being a top, 12, 13 point guard in the league. Buddy Hield, sort of an off night, but he did drop 18, 6 rebounds. So, the story really tonight was Bagley got 32 minutes and 32 minutes and 32 points. So I expected Willie Cauley-Stein to get traded at the trade deadline because, they also love Harry Giles. That kid can really play, but he's third string. So I don't know what they're going to do, but I would assume that WCS is going to be either moved or traded at the end of the year because with Bagley and Giles, they're all set in the middle. And they're trying to make the playoffs too. I think they're in 8th place, if I'm not mistaken, right now. So not a bad game, but from a fantasy perspective, this team can also make you a nervous wreck on trying to figure out value. But, I'd stick with just really the 3 main guys, Hield, Fox, and Bagley. And, maybe Bogdanovich, but it's, keep an eye on him.
Yeah, I agree with you. Yeah, I agree with you. First of all, I like this team. I didn't think I'd say that either. I'm really glad they're turning around since, moving on from Cousins, and they've kept consistency at the coaching position, and I think that's really helped. And he's a quality coach. So, and I agree with you with Cauley Stein. I'm surprised. I don't think he'll be part of their future, so I think he'll be gone as well. And then I agree with you on your analysis. It's really, I trust Fox, Hield, Bagley now, and I actually trust Bogdanovich. I think he's too good not to get high 20 minutes, or at least mid to high 20 minutes. And he tends to find all the stat categories, hit all the stat categories. So I trust him. He's not going to be a great player, but in terms of fantasy value, but I think he's going to be good enough.
I agree.
Yeah, Harrison Barnes, I think his value, he's never been a great fantasy asset. He's been just kind of a points league person, scores a lot, doesn't do a whole lot of else. I have him on 139 for the season on a per game basis. So perhaps
I got him sinking down almost 150.
I think he's.
I don't know what it is, but he's just not effective. Lots of empty stats.
Yeah, exactly. And this, like you said, this team they have a lot of guys that they just go out there and run. And from a night to night basis, his minutes could fluctuate depending on how the team's playing and how he's playing. So I think he's hard to trust down the stretch. That's really, and then like you said, they got Burks in there now. Giles is someone I think has a lot of potential.
Definitely.
This team has a lot. When you have a lot of guys that can run, it's hard to trust more than a few. So we'll see how it. I really hope they make the playoffs. So I'm rooting for him.
That's exactly how I feel. I think their fans deserve it, and that'd be wonderful to see them. Even if they are one and done, just to get in there would be great.
Yeah, or if they play like Golden State and they get to like win a game, that'd be great. If they got like one game off of them,
yeah.
All right. Anything else before we move on?
Nope, that's good.
All right. I've got Orlando, Atlanta. You want to start us off?
Sure. I'll take Atlanta. How's that sound?
Sounds great.
Because they fall into my category of teams that drive me. I used to have for these teams, but they played 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 guys over 20 minutes tonight. So good luck in fantasy trying to figure out who to play. Prince I'll just run down real quickly to show you. Not only did they all split minutes, but you had Prince with 8, Collins, who's their best player for sure. He's definitely potential, but he throws games like this and that aren't good. He played 25 minutes at 15 points, 4 rebounds. That's not good enough for a guy with that much talent. Dedman had 5, Herter 15, Young 13, Spellman 10, Lynn 12, Bembry 2, Lynn had 16. Bazemore's now back. He had 7. So I don't know where you go with this team as far as number one, they're not a good team, and number two, in fantasy, you can, if you hit Young on the right day, he's worth it, but there's a lot of times he's not. And Collins would be the only guy I'd feel comfortable with consistently. But again, when you got a coach that's feeling his way, playing everybody 20 plus minutes, you just, it's hard to trust them. So I would say Atlanta's one of my teams that I would say just when you see them come up and you have to pick or trade for or waiver wire or daily fantasy, just pass. Don't look too long. Pass and move on to the next one. What do you think? Do you have any love for Atlanta?
A couple things about Atlanta that stand out for me. One, Collins, I do love him. Tonight was an off night. I think normally I can trust him. I don't own him anywhere, but I would love to. Trae Young, I will have to say, I did not expect him to have this good of a season. I know it's not great fantasy-wise, but he is starting to look like a guy you draft early in the NBA draft and is a future star in this league. I think next year he might be worth. He might make a big jump, just like we saw with De'Aaron Fox this year. Fantasy-wise, one guy. Go ahead. Were you about to say something?
I just said that's a really good point. I agree with you there. I think once he really gets his legs and the leadership of the team, you're right. That's a guy to. I have him in my dynasty league, keeper league, and I'm looking forward to the future with him. I think he'll do well.
Yeah, when he first came in, I was not sold on him. I thought he had boom or bust potential, and I was definitely not bust. This guy looks really good. And then Kevin Herter, he was someone I was sort of kind on down the stretch of getting a lot of run. 28 minutes tonight, like you said, they ran like 9 guys out there. 9, actually more like 12 guys out there with significant minutes. I don't know where to value Herter. I was valuing him as a low end 3-and-D guy down the stretch. Tonight, 2 3-pointers, a steal, 6 of 11. So the percentages were decent, but I'm a little worried about him cracking the top 100. We'll see. We'll see if he gets much higher. He's 156 overall. I expect him to get a little better, but maybe not as high as I thought in the last third of the season. Do you have any thoughts on him?
Well, I thought they were going to give him the run, but again, now Bazemore's back, and so he's taken those minutes, and it just I don't understand. I think at this point, it makes no sense to me why they don't just go young and let these guys. I wouldn't take, Baze, or I wouldn't play Bazemore or any of those guys really. I mean, let Herter and Young and Collins get a ton of minutes together. And that's where the future is. So, yeah, it's tough though. It doesn't look like they're doing that, and so I'm not sure what to recommend. Like I say, they make me nervous. That's for sure.
Yeah, I agree, and I think what they might be doing, this is just speculation, is they might be playing some of these veterans with the young guys to get them, play with guys who know how to play a little bit better, and maybe they're thinking that's going to help their development. So I don't think Bazemore's minutes are going away or Lynn's minutes anytime soon. I think they may have decided that's a strategy for their development. Anyway, for a fantasy perspective, it makes it harder to predict. Orlando side, anything else before I hop over to Orlando?
That's good.
All right. They get the win here with 124 scored points. Vucevic continues to play like an all-star, 19 points, 12 rebounds, 3 assists tonight on 8 of 13 shooting. Had a block as well. Quiet night from Aaron Gordon, just 12 points, 4 of 9. Had 3 rebounds, 3 assists, 2 3-pointers, and a block. Jonathan Isaac's starting to come around here, 6 of 12 from the field, 17 points, but not much else. I take that back. He had 2 steals and 5 blocks. I missed the defensive stats, so that's a monster night. 3 3-pointers as well. If you hung on to him, congratulations. I don't have a lot of patience, unfortunately. DJ Augustine, solid night for him. Right on the borderline of being picked up. I don't know if I'd rather have Augustine or Tyler Johnson down the stretch. Maybe it's I don't know. It's hard to say. Anyway, 14 points tonight for Augustine, 10 assists, shot an efficient 6 of 9. So a good game from him. Fournier, 17.7 assists, 3 rebounds, 6 of 12 shooting, a 3-pointer, and a steal. Terrence Ross continues to bomb away. 2 3-pointers tonight on 7 attempts, 18.6 rebounds, 2 assists, 8 of 8 from the free throw line. I'm not really taking away any changes from this team. This team is a little more consistent in their rotations. Any thoughts from you, Coach, on this Orlando side?
Well, I think Jonathan Isaac is the guy to put a circle around. He seems to finally be getting it. I think to be honest, I'd rather have him than Aaron Gordon at this point. I think Gordon sort of wore out his welcome there, and I think he may be moved for sure. Vooks, your money go-to guy, and that's about as deep as you can. I know Terrence Ross is had a decent season, and there were like 15 teams trying to trade for him. So I have no idea why Orlando wants to hang on to him. Again, one of those things, you general manage your fantasy teams and you see some of these moves that the real GMs make, and you think, why would you not trade him for some assets? You're not going to get any more value for Ross ever than you would right now. But again, maybe they have a reason. But yeah, I would say Jonathan Isaac, he might be on some waiver wire still, because like you said, a lot of us gave up on him. And then, if you haven't gone back after him, he's going to be a, close to 30-minute a night guy, and he's starting to put all the pieces together.
Yeah, he's been on a tear recently. I think over the last month he is 61st. So yeah, hopefully if he's out there, definitely scoop him up.
I didn't realize he was that high. Yeah,
he puts up a lot of the, like, what Aaron Brucey calls the money counters, the steals, the blocks, the 3-pointers. So All right. Should we move on to the final game?
Sure.
All right. Where do you want to dive in on this one? Miami or Golden State?
I'll take Miami. I just am in the process of moving back to Dallas from Miami. So I've had a lot of Miami Heat this year and watched that whole dumpster fire down there. You talk about playing guys, that it's nuts. But a couple of things popped out to me today. Jay Rich had a fantastic game, 37, 1 rebound, 5 assists, 1 steal, but he's a little scoring dependent. I'd like to see him get a few more stats across the board. He's a good defender, but he hasn't been getting as many steals. He should definitely, with his athleticism, have more. I mean, in 37 minutes, only have 1 rebound and 1 steal is not acceptable to me. But I think he's their best young player potentially. Olynyk had 2, Whiteside 13 and 14 in just 21 minutes. So, that's the one guy that I will not even look at. I got rid of him, traded him. I mean, I've never seen anything like it. He'll play 15 minutes, have 2 points and 3 rebounds. And then the next game he'll play 30 minutes and have 26 points and 20 rebounds. So I have no idea why Spoelstra doesn't play him, what the issue is there. But from a fantasy perspective, you just really got to be careful with him. The standout thing for me is Miami did trade away Tyler Johnson, and they waived Wayne Ellington, which opened up Dion Waiters' time. He was out for most of the season. He's back now for a couple of weeks, and he played 41 minutes tonight. So, I mean, if you want a sneaker guy that may help you that's still out there, that might be the guy because, 24 points, 3 rebounds, 4 assists and a steal and a block. I mean, that's some great fantasy numbers for a guy that nobody really had picked up. So that's your big takeaway from that game. Winslow had a decent game playing the point again, 22, 6, and 4. But that should end right after the All-Star break when Goran Dragic comes back. So, I'm not sure, if you have Winslow, it'd be a good time to peddle him because I guarantee you when Dragic is back, his usage is going to just collapse. There's no question. And then, their regular guys off the bench, just, Wade chips in, Adebayo. Johnson's had a terrible year. And Magruder sort of out of the rotation. So if anything with the Heat, that 12-man rotation they were using for the first half, they've now pared it down to about 8 guys. So you can start, seeing those guys are going to get the main minutes. And, I'd definitely go after Waiters if he's out there and Jay Rich and sort of be careful with Winslow.
Yeah, Waiters, he's an interesting guy. I've had him before, and he's certainly someone who can light it up. I just get nervous by his percentages. They can be a real drag. We'll see if he can get a little bit better this year. But you're right, the opportunity is going to be there for him. The one guy I was also watching, and tonight was just terrible, was Olynyk. Is that the one you mentioned about not wanting to pick up? Or is it?
Well, Kelly Olynyk's one of them. Justice Winslow, too. Yeah, Olynyk had 2. Yeah. He's just been complete. But Johnson has 2. They don't really have a 4 anymore. I don't know why. They should just try to play Adebayo and Whiteside together. Why not,
Yeah, I agree. I would like to see more of that. I mean, Adebayo played 25 minutes and Whiteside 22, so they technically maybe did not overlap tonight. But I would like to see that more. I don't believe in Olynyk this season, even though he's been starting a little bit as of late. And I like what you mentioned about Winslow. I forgot that Dragic was even still on this team. It's been so long since he's played. Winslow, like you said, will take a big hit once Dragic comes back after the All-Star game or break. Not much else here. Waiters, I mean, points league, yes, very safe. oh gosh, those percentages scare me. All right, I'm going to head over to Golden State. This team just keeps on winning. Start off with, let's see, a lot of guys to choose from. I'll start with Durant, 39 points, 6 rebounds, 4 assists. He shot a ridiculous 16 of 24, 3-pointer and a block. He continues to be number 6 overall, I'm seeing here. Steph Curry, number 3 overall, 25 points, 4 rebounds, 2 assists for him tonight. 5 3-pointers. That's not that strange. 2 steals to go along with that. Klay Thompson had 6 3-pointers, 29 points, 3 rebounds, 2 assists on 11 of 21 shooting. A very efficient night from their big guys. DeMarcus Cousins, a bit of a step back game here, just 7 points. Did have a lot of other stats, though, including 2 steals, 3 blocks. So great defensive stats. Not much else, though, just 3 rebounds and an assist. And then, let's see. Oh, I forgot Draymond Green. Consistent. See, he has been still. It's the points that were never that great, and they aren't going to get any better, it seems. 5 points, 7 rebounds, 14 assists, steal, and a block. And then after that, the bench is just kind of, there isn't just much opportunity after their big five. So, I thought Cousins coming. Do you have a value on Cousins? I was thinking I was going to value him around somewhere around 40 to 50 as well. He might get better than that. So far, he's 63 on a per game basis. I think he gets a little bit better. Coach, you have any thoughts on Cousins? Yep.
I was interested to see how he would fit in with this group, obviously. I don't think Kerr's going to ever run a lot of plays or feature him. I mean, everything's still going to run Durant, Thompson and Curry, and then Green will be a facilitator. But I don't think Cousins, I have him, believe it or not, down in the 60s because I just don't think he's going to have, 14 assists, that Green. But with Cousins, 27 minutes is a long time to play and to have empty stats like that. So I think he's going to find himself standing around a lot and, not really contributing like everybody was expecting him to. I mean, he'll do okay, but I wouldn't count on him by any
that's
stretch.
how I feel too. There's just so many scorers on this team, and they already have a system in place, and he can't really come in there and demand anything because these other guys are more talented than him. You know what I mean? He's always been in a situation where he was the most talented guy. Well, maybe not with New Orleans, but in Sacramento. So it's a much different situation. I think he's accepted his role here. So 60 might be a better valuation. Just because of his efficiency, I thought he would get a little bit higher, but we'll see.
I'd be shocked, Neil, if he doesn't sometime down the road here start squawking because he's got some. He's going to be whining about not being in the flow or being part of it. I guarantee it. I mean, it's coming. It's just a matter of time.
I know. It seems like it's just his nature, right? It's just his nature. No matter how things are going, he's going to probably find a reason to create some sort of inner turmoil.
Yeah, I agree with you, Neil. If they stay healthy and Cousins or Green don't lose their minds, they should be walking to another championship, no doubt about it. But it's going to be interesting though. There's teams in there that have some fight. The way Harden's playing, who knows? Maybe they can give him some trouble. And all of a sudden, the East has 4 teams that look like they want to get up there and cause some trouble with Toronto, Milwaukee, and Philly and Boston. They all have a shot, so it'll be fun.
Yeah, you mentioned earlier about thinking Philly might be the team out of the East. I am really curious to see how that plays out. Before the season started, I thought Boston would figure it out and they would win the East. Now with all these trades, I am so curious to see how Toronto looks. I think they may have the best coach in the East. I love that guy, Nick Nurse. And then secondly,
terrific.
I'm a Mirotic lover too, so I want to see how much better Milwaukee gets now having him. I mean, they could just bomb away. And I like Budenholzer too. So I I'm excited. I actually think the East, whoever comes out of the East, actually has a puncher's chance. I know that sounds crazy, but I really think they do.
I'm with you. I mean, I really think those 4 teams would make the playoffs in the West. I mean, I for several years, but
right. All right, some technical difficulties there. Sorry, Joe got cut off due to my internet connection. So I'm just going to wrap it up here. Thanks again for listening to the Box Score Breakdown for February 10th, 2019. Again, we are sponsored by Hawaiian Isles Kona Coffee. You can find their delicious coffee products at hawaiianisles.com, also at amazon.com, pardon me. And we'll be back again tomorrow night. Thanks for listening.
This has been a Hoop Ball presentation.